Good morning, my friends. This is Shake and Bake. Hold on a second here. There's nothing better than that first cup of coffee in the morning. Oh, it's so good. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you, this is a disclaimer right from the get-go. My eyes are a little red. My eyes are kind of green, but they're red a little bit. And it's not because of what you think. All right, I may have a glass of red wine here and there, but that's about it. I don't live in Washington State or Colorado. I took a shower. My eyes get really red. So just in case some of you guys are out there wondering, you see my eyes. Okay. Now, we had the first story. The first story was the swimsuit, their wetsuit. The second was the Ranger story. The third was the Mother's Day tribute, and the fourth was my fishing story. Okay, now the fifth story that people and some have been asking for. I know people. I'm not going to get millions of views from these, but I don't care. They're fun to do, and some of you enjoy them. Maybe you're at work, you're bored, and think, well, what story does Shake have out today? Well, this is number 5, my friends, and this has some mature content. I will try to keep it as clean as possible, but there is a mature theme. So if you're a youngin', you might not want to watch this. Maybe get your parents' permission, okay? This one is called The Tear Check. All right, The Tear Check. This is my prison story, and I got a lot of those too. Some I can't tell, but this one I can tell you. And get ready. So get your cup of coffee or whatever you're having. Oh, man, is that good. And sit back. Maybe watch Shawshank Redemption before you watch this, or watch it after, however you want to do it. But this is going to be my prison story. All right, so let's get into it. Now, we got to set the context, the framework, right? You look behind me, you see the cell, right? I added that, just a little backdrop. I'm using my new green screen system. I still need to fine tune it, but I'm happy with this. It's going to be awesome what I can do with this thing. Hopefully the neighbors never see me in the man cave with these lights and everything. They're going to think I'm nuts. I don't care. All right, so set the context, set the framework here, the environment. Close your eyes maybe and picture this. Okay. Women's prison. Okay, the only one in the state, basically, with all of the custody levels, maximum custody to minimum. And yes, there's women in prison for murder and vicious things. You wouldn't believe it. I didn't believe it. And a young Bobby, a.k.a. Shake and Bake, okay, in this setting. Yeah, I worked at this prison. Young college student. I was just, doing this work kind of part-time. And imagine in that women's prison, the close custody unit, the max unit. This unit basically is for the worst of the worst. Some are never getting out. They're in there for murder and vicious crimes. And, kind of think of 2 pods with 3 tiers that go up. Floors, basically, with these rooms, these cells, right? So I'm a young, scrapping young guy. And I'm going to college. I was after the Rangers, and I'm loving college. And my dad, I think, was worried I was going to be one of these full-time students for the rest of my life because I loved it so much. It was just fun. I loved learning, and it seemed easier after the Rangers. Shocking. And so he drops off this application for a prison that was not too far from where we lived. And I said, are you kidding me, working in a prison? And I think I filled out the application just to get him off my back, right? I forgot about it. Maybe a year later, I get this call. I should go interview because I thought, well, I could do this on the side while I'm going to college. And end up getting this job as basically an on-call officer. Basically what that is, you're an officer working in the prison. You're not full-time. You're just on call. They call you when they need you. You can work anywhere kind of thing. So what happens is I'm doing this, and it's hardcore. This is a long time ago. And in some cases, I was more fearful of the staff than the inmates, to be honest. You could go into a unit as a new guy, right, new officer, And the staff would walk out and throw you the keys and be like, hey, man, good luck. And there you are with 120 inmates. And they know you're green. They know you know nothing. And they're going to work you. So they just bailed on you. Nobody's going to help you. And it's like dog eat dog, right? So what happens one night, I get in this situation, all right, where I get the call, we need you to work. I'm going to work graveyard, which is 10 at night to 6 in the morning. And we're going to put you in the close custody unit, the max unit. I've been doing pretty good. You know, they were impressed by, what I was doing. So I put on my spit shine boots, my shoes, and my iron uniform. I mean, I was looking sharp, you know. In fact, the nickname they gave me was Dudley Do-Right because some of the staff looked ragtag. And I wasn't me. So I go down to this unit. I had never worked there before. Max custody. And I'm down there with this, I call him a veteran, old timer, right? He'd worked at other prisons, you know, and he was like the Shawshank Redemption kind of dude. And now you got to pitch this unit, about 120 inmates, 2 pods, 3 tiers, 2 staff, 1 in a booth, we call the fishbowl. You sit in this booth, you're locked in that booth. You got glass all around. You can control the doors, right, with knobs and switches. You got an intercom, but you're locked in there. And then there's another poor bastard, and that happened to be me because I was the duck who was going to get put in the pods by himself. Whoo! That was a little shake. That was Bob. So he locks himself in. I'm like, okay, what I do? He says, just get out there, man. You got this. And so the close custody ones could stay out that time till 11 at night. It was weird. I mean, they got sent to 11 at night. So from 10 to 11, I'm by myself out there, and I had to be in the pod with them, right? It's called direct supervision. So I'm in there with them. Oh, and they know I'm new. They're working me. Oh, we're allowed to have this. We can have that. You know, whatever. And at 11, I got to lock them down. I got to get them to their cells, right? So we get, I'm 11, lock it down, you know. And they're laughing at me, you know. Some are going, slow walking it. And I'm like, oh, man. And they're calling me names when I'm not looking. Chester the Molester, Dudley Do-Right, ears on. I got big ears, so ears on the tears. I mean, it's just vicious, man. I was just scarred. I wasn't a cry, but you couldn't. And so then what happens after they get locked down is I have to now every hour, once I walk these tiers, every cell with a flashlight and look in there. Look in this cell right here. I'm looking in to make sure they chiseled through the wall like Shawshank Redemption or something, or because I've just seen the movies. I don't know either. It's like a lot of people out there. You don't really know what it's like in a prison. You're going by what the movies show, right? So, but I'm flashing the flashlight in, making sure they escape, make sure nobody's getting killed, whatever. I'm just hoping to God I never see nothing. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping I flash the flashlight in and nothing's going on. I just keep moving. So he's in the booth. He's got his feet up, reading the paper. He doesn't even, he's whatever. And I go up on my first tier check. It's probably, 11:30. And I start first tier, room by room. And here's what they do with these women. They know you're new, right? And so this is back when I started. They could wear like lingerie and stuff. It was wild. It was wild. And you'd go by the cell, and they'd actually they test you, They might show a little shoulder, maybe wink at you. Good evening, officer. They want to see how you respond to that. If you don't say anything or do nothing, next time you come around, might be a little shoulder showing, maybe a bra, and what they'll do is they'll cover their lights, their lamps in the room with like red plastic paper. So it's like the red light district. It's freaky. I was freaked out. So I go first tier, I get the normal stuff, and second, third tier. This is where it's going to happen right here. Third tier, I'm going down. I get to the last cell. Now, they know I'm coming. You would think they would know I'm coming, right? I've done the first 2 tiers. Been called all kinds of names. Get to the third tier, last cell. I walk up on it, and I'm thinking, let's do the flashlight, get by it, get downstairs, get out of the pods, whatever. Go do a crossword like the veteran. I get to the third cell. I stick the flashlight up in there. I look in. Here's like this cell back here. I'm looking in. Do this little box thing, And I see something I'll never forget. On the bottom bunk, I see, it's dark though, right? I see what appears to be a naked woman killing another naked woman. Okay, like strangling her. I'm like, oh my God. Right away, I think I have got a murder going on right now in this cell. My first night in this unit. I got to do something. I got to take action. Because shake and bake, Bobby's a man of action. I'm going to take action, I thought. And so I yelled down to the guy in the booth who's half asleep. Pop the door, because he controls the door. And I know he's wondering, what the hell's he doing up there? He opens the door. I go charging in with my flashlight. Now, you don't have any weapons. You know, my flashlight. And I'm squared off like Bruce Lee in the cell. It's pitch black. And I'm like, get off her. And I think she's killing her. And, man, she jumps up, and the other one's underneath. And I realize at this point that they were in opposite directions, if you get my gist. I thought she was strangling her, but they were really in opposite directions. And the one on top bounds off and comes at me and jumps. She's got no clothes on, butt naked. I'm talking birthday suit from the pinky toe up to the top of her head. They get a picture of this. I'm squared off in the room. I mean, flashlight. I'm ready to stop a murder. She's squared off, and she's big boned. This is a big woman. I mean, she was hardcore. Taller than me, big. And she's standing there, and she screamed. I said to her, you need to get your clothes on. And she screams back at me, I got my clothes on. I said, oh, no, you don't. So at this point, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I got a dead inmate in the bed. This one's squared off of me butt naked. Am I going to wrestle a naked inmate? I don't know. I'm freaked out, right? And I hear over the intercom, there's an intercom in the cell, from the guy down the booth. He comes and he says, officer, Bobby, you may want to back out of that cell. So I backpedal out, keeping her in my eyes, close the door, and I look down. I'll never forget it. I look down at the booth down there where I'm hoping to see him, calling for backup, and he's on the floor laughing so hard. What just happened? He is on the floor rolling. Papers everywhere. He can't even breathe. He's doubled over. So I go down, he's like, man, I cannot believe you went that cell. I said, I thought there was a murder going on. So he ends up calling the lieutenant, the guy in charge, right? They come down. I described him kind of, but it was, if you get in a car wreck or something happens, you go into shock. It's fight or flight, and the caveman brain takes over. And so it's easy to forget stuff. That's why it's so important to write it down right away after it happens. The more time that goes on, the more you forget. And this was traumatizing. I never seen it like that before. Just being in the prison and then to see that and then to me freak out and she was freaking out. And so the lieutenant's like, well, what'd you see? I said, well, he's like, you can't think, you got to know. And I said, well, So he's like, they come to get these women to take them to segregation, basically the hole, right? And as they're walking them down these tiers, I'm in the pod standing there kind of, I'm still freaked out. And, oh, man, I forgot to tell you, the rest of the tiers, the women, they're rolling, screaming. They're screaming, did you hear that, officer? He went in there and raped them. They start making up all kinds of stories, right? So as these two are coming by, the one that had squared off of me, she looks me dead in the eye. I'll never forget this. Looks me dead in the eye, and she says, that man is crazy. It was so funny. And just gave me this look like she was traumatized. I'm sure she was. And off they go to segregation. And the rest of the night, the worst part, is I got to write this report. Well, I don't know. I was so in shock. It was hard to write it. What do I write down? What did I really see? What words do I use? Can I use words to describe what really happened? And so I wrote this real sterile report, and that lieutenant, he must have sent it back 15 times. He's saying, you need to write. No, let me show you something. I have my glasses. He had these big Coke bottle glasses. He's like, you need to write what you saw. And that means write every detail, you saw down there. I'm like, man, what? So I write this thing. I'm going to wrap it up with this. Now, if everybody sees your report the next day. It's in a prison. It's like a small farm town. Everybody knows everything. So by the next day when I came in for another shift, people would be pointing and there he is right there. That's the guy that freaked out. That's the guy. Hey, man, do you write for Playboy? We heard you write for Penthouse. I mean, it was horrible. And then when I went to that unit again, they were rolling. They just razz you. So this was my first real, like, crazy experience in the prison. There was many, many, many more. But man, looking back, it was hilarious how I responded to that. And I hope you guys got a chuckle out of that. I'm sure you figured out what really was happening. She wasn't murdering her. But it was wild. My next story is going to be, I got a good one. And it's going to be Bobby's first fight. First fight I got into, real fight, like. And when I practiced this story, because I do practice these actually when I'm like kind of working, I kind of talk to myself. I was rolling, so you guys should enjoy that. I hope you guys enjoyed the prison story. I know some of you have been waiting for it. If you want more of those, just let me know. Cheers, peace, guys. Thank you for the subs. Thank you for the likes. And if you can share the videos, that really does help me. And I hope you guys are enjoying the new green screen setup. Cheers, peace. Have a great weekend. And a shout out to the veterans out there for Memorial Day weekend here in North America. Peace.